By the time the Dominion's victory songs were echoing through their ships, the coordinates were already in the hands of the Terran Armada. When silence broke, the Dominion flagship's communications officer sat back, bored, watching the slow crawl of data preparing to beam their trophy message across subspace. It was nearly ready. Within hours, the galaxy would see their triumph. And then the sensors screamed. One blip, then 5, then 100. The officer's eyes widened as his console flared red. Unregistered warp signatures, hundreds, no thousands. The warlord strode into the chamber, his sneer gone. Impossible, no fleet moves that fast. But they had. The void split open, and through it came the Armada of Earth. Not scouts, not a token defense, but the full force of Retaliation, dreadnoughts bristling with kinetic cannons, carriers vomiting swarms of interceptors, railguns charged with enough energy to pierce planets. The Dominion had thought they would have weeks, months before humanity's response. They did not know that Earth had been watching, preparing, waiting. Now, Retaliation had arrived, and it had arrived before their message home did. The annihilation unfolds. The first Terran salvo tore through the Dominion's outer ring. 3 cruisers were vaporized before they even raised shields. A fourth tried to turn, but a rail slug, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, split it in 2. Fighters swarmed like hornets, overwhelming Dominion interceptors in seconds. Precision strikes gutted engines, left ships adrift, then burned them to nothing. The Dominion's communications were jammed. Their weapons sputtered against Terran shielding. Their formations collapsed in minutes. Warlord Urek barked orders, his voice cracking. "Rally, hold the line. They cannot have this many ships." But they did. The Terran Armada moved like a storm, coordinated, merciless, inevitable. Then came the voice. Across every Dominion channel, a human broadcast cut through the static. Calm, cold, final. "This is Earth. You struck our colony, you slaughtered our people. Retaliation has come. No warning, no mercy, no survivors." The words echoed like judgment. Dominion soldiers froze at their posts, terror flooding their veins. The Armada executed without pause. Entire squadrons of Dominion craft were wiped from existence in synchronized barrages. Escape pods were tracked and eliminated. The Dominion had thought they were predators, but now they were prey, and humanity was the hunter. The fall of a warlord. Urek's flagship trembled under bombardment. Consoles exploded. Fires raged across the decks. The warlord stood frozen, staring at the burning horizon of his bridge. "They were not supposed to answer so quickly," he whispered. "They were not supposed to." Another rail slug punched through the ship. Alarms howled. His officers abandoned their stations. Through the viewport, he saw the colony below, the ruins he had made still smoldering. And above it, Terran warships blotted out the stars. The last thought in his mind was not triumph, nor rage. It was fear. Then his flagship erupted in silence, consumed by fire. Whispers among the stars. When the last Dominion vessel shattered, the Terran Armada did not linger. They erased every trace of the enemy. No survivors, no messages left behind. The Dominion's proud recording of conquest was destroyed before it could leave the system. Their boasting never reached home. All that remained was silence. But silence speaks. Rumors spread quickly across the galaxy. Traders whispered of a Dominion fleet that vanished, of how Earth did not wait for politics or councils or negotiations. Retaliation had come instantly, faster than thought, faster than fear. And the whispers grew into warnings. Do not touch their colonies. Do not test their patience. They may wait, they may seem still, but when they rise, vengeance comes like fire. The galaxy trembled, for a truth had been revealed. Humanity's patience was vast, but their vengeance was infinite. And the lesson was carved into history, unforgettably clear. Retaliation arrived before their message home did. The skies over Vera IX burned red with alien laughter. The Karzul Dominion, a war-born empire of taloned warriors and cold strategists, descended upon the small human colony like executioners enjoying their work. Their fleets hung above the planet's atmosphere, shimmering with weapons still glowing from the strike that had already incinerated 3 cities. Pathetic, one Karzul commander sneered over open channels, broadcasting their words to every terrified colonist below. This is what Earth sends to claim stars. Farmers, miners, children, not even soldiers, only prey. They did not destroy swiftly. That would have been mercy. Instead, they herded survivors, setting fire to homes with plasma strikes, dragging leaders into public squares to be executed under the gaze of orbital cameras. Their cruelty was not random. It was staged, deliberate, a spectacle to break human spirit before it could rise. One envoy, a human diplomat named Cora Wren, was dragged from her shelter. Her words of protest were cut short as she was torn apart before the survivors she had sworn to protect. The Dominion broadcast it across local systems, laughing as if they were sharing theater rather than atrocity. They knew Earth would hear of this eventually. They knew a message would crawl across the stars, begging for justice. But in their arrogance, they believed they had time. They believed humans were distant, slow, soft. They thought retribution would be delayed, if it ever came. Songs of mockery among the stars. The Karzul fleets gathered above the burning colony, drinking in their own triumph. The alien commanders convened in their war council chambers aboard the dread carrier Zathker. Crystal goblets filled with the blood of conquered species clinked as they toasted. This victory, one of them declared, is not against Earth's armies but against its illusions. They parade themselves as protectors of peace. We've shown them what their peace is worth, nothing. The crew roared in guttural agreement, striking their armor, laughing like predators around a feast. Already their couriers prepared the official report for the Dominion capital. Earth's colony broken, its envoy slain, its settlers scattered as ash. Yet the report had not left their ships. The faster-than-light relay needed alignment, and the message sat waiting, unsent. The Dominion thought they had days, maybe weeks, before humans even heard of the atrocity. In their minds, Earth would debate, wring hands, and hold councils about how to respond. Maybe sanctions, maybe words, surely not war. They mocked humans as soft-skins. They imitated the way humans spoke, fumbling their words like clowns. They reenacted the envoy's death on their decks for amusement. In their overconfidence, they mistook silence for weakness. They mistook patience for paralysis. They didn't know Earth was already moving. The silence before the storm. The retaliation did not wait for debate. It did not pause for discussion. It did not crawl across the void at the speed of couriers. It was already there. When the Karzul first fired on Vera IX, humanity's long-range sensors screamed warnings across hidden networks. Deep within the black chambers of the Terran Defense Directorate, the signal was received. Not as a plea, not as a question, only as a fact. Within minutes, orders cascaded through encrypted channels. Retaliation protocols locked into place, ancient contingencies once thought theoretical now burning bright. Earth's fleets had waited in silence for decades, scattered across the stars, unadvertised and unacknowledged. The humans had prepared not for peace, but for the inevitability of arrogance. So while the Karzul were still laughing, while they were still crafting their message of mockery, the blackness around their fleet rippled. Space itself seemed to shiver. And then came the ships. They emerged without warning, massive human dreadnoughts, black as void, their hulls swallowing starlight. Whole formations of destroyers and carriers, each bristling with weapons the Karzul had only ever seen in rumors. No announcement, no warning, no declaration of war, only silence. A silence that made the Karzul choke on their laughter. The sword unleashed. The retaliation was not a battle, it was judgment. Human ships moved like predators unleashed, their weapons cutting through Dominion armor as if it were parchment. The first human salvo struck with surgical precision. The command deck of Zathker was vaporized before its captain could issue a single order. Dreadnoughts fired kinetic lances, rods of tungsten accelerated to near-relativistic speeds. They tore through Karzul cruisers, punching holes the size of cities through their cores. The impacts lit the void like suns, silent blossoms of death blooming in blackness. Karzul fighters scrambled, but human interceptors moved with terrifying discipline, weaving formations that shredded their wings in seconds. The humans did not shout. They did not boast. Their comms carried only clipped words, cold orders, and acknowledgments. And yet, across the Karzul fleet, human voices echoed once, broadcast in every frequency the Dominion used. You struck without mercy, you laughed at grief, now you face what you woke. That was the only warning. The storm broke fully. Orbital platforms the Karzul had deployed around Vera IX were reduced to molten shards in moments. The Karzul ships tried to form ranks, but each formation was ripped apart before it could stabilize. What had been an invincible Dominion armada became scattered wreckage in minutes. Annihilation without delay. There was no